Dear students, today we will see the introduction to protection of the system. What is protection? Protection is the process wherein the users of the system or interest of the users of the system is fulfilled. That means one user shouldn't be affecting the working of another user or same vice versa, so that the system works in a better and efficient way. So that's what I have written here. The processes in an operating system must be protected from one another's activities is called as protection. Otherwise what will happen is the system will not work in a proper and efficient way, and there are chances that system may collapse also because of unauthorized usage of the resources available to the system for the all the users. So let us understand this with a small example. I have U1, U2. U1, U2 are nothing but users, and R1, R2 are nothing but the resources. That means U1 is authorized to use the resources R1, U2 is authorized to use resources R1, and U3, that is user 3, is authorized to use resources, that is R2, and U4 is again user 4 is authorized to use resources R2. Now throughout the system this should be maintained so that user 1 shouldn't be using or trying to use the resources provided to U4 or vice versa. That means U4 shouldn't be trying to use the resources provided to U2, that is R1 in this case, resource 1 in this case. Okay, so if U1 wants to do that, then it is called as unauthorized access, and if it is allowed, what will happen? U1 may spoil the working of user 4, or if it is vice versa case, that if U4 is been allowed to use the resources 1, then again same, U4 may damage the working of the user 1. So we should make sure that an authorized user can access the resources provided to him throughout the working of the system. Otherwise the whole concept of multi-programming, multitasking will go off. I hope it is clear with the simple example that how protection has to be maintained. To make this, we have to have some strategies which we will be learning throughout this chapter. So what is goals of the protection? The first goal, to prevent mischievous intentional violation of an access restriction by user. As I said, U1 should not try to use the resources R2 which is provided to U4 and U3. This is, if it wants to do it, then that is called as an unauthorized access, which should not be allowed. Until unless it is authorized user of a resource, then only it could be provided. That's what is called as the goals of the protection. First goal is to make sure unauthorized access so that it should not spoil the working of the other users in a system. And second goal is a protection oriented system provides means to distinguish between authorized and unauthorized user. As I said, U1 is authorized to access R1, U2 is authorized to access R1, whereas U3 is authorized to access R2, U4 is authorized to access R2, wherein U4 is not authorized to access resource 1 provided by the system. I hope it is clear. Goals of protection is to make sure there should not be harm to user 1 by user 3 or user 4, or there might be any other users, and vice versa also. And it should help me, that protection system should help me to identify who is the authorized user and who is not the authorized user. I hope the concept is clear up to here. Now, principles of protection. There is only one tested principle which has been used throughout the protection system, which is called as principle of least privilege. What is principle of least privilege? It is nothing but giving a user particular authorization in a limited way. That means we shouldn't be giving user one such a flexibility that it can go to R2, R3, R4 and so forth. So too much flexibility will lead to again complexity, and there are chances that misusage of the particular privilege which has been assigned to a particular user will be misused or spoiled. That's why always we should follow a principle called as principle of least privilege. Least privilege means whatever is required at that moment, that much privilege only given to use the system, what you call as resources and all other parts. I hope it is clear. What is the principle of least privilege? Principle of least privilege is nothing but it is a privilege that is minimum amount of privilege to perform the particular task. Other than that, it should not be given. That's what too much flexibility will spoil the whole process. Now, domain protection, domain of the protection. So what is domain protection? A computer system is a collection of processes and objects. You know what computer system have? N number of processes. Okay, that means processes might be having many users or one user, whatever it is. Okay, then the objects. What are these objects? There might be hardware objects like your CPU, printer, disk, etc. Or they might be your software objects such as files, programs and semaphores, etc. Semaphore is a synchronization tool. We will see how it works. Okay, so by the name itself we can understand hardware objects and software objects. These are the two things. And how the domain has to be protected? It is through need to know principle. This need to know principle is same as principle of least privilege. As I said, protection system works, or protection concept works on this principle only. What is that? Principle of least privilege. So need to know principle is equal to principle of least privilege. So what it means? It means the authorization is given to any process or a user in such a way that only to complete the present work. Otherwise, too much flexibility in the resource usage or authorization is given, then there are chances that we may or the processes or users may misuse the authorization given and spoil the whole system. I hope this is clear. What is need to know principle and what is principle of least privilege? Both are same. Now, what is need to know principle? It is clear, and as I said, it is equal to principle of least privilege. What will happen if we do this or if we follow this is, which will limit the amount of damage of a faulty processes can cause in the system. That means if a fault process or unauthorized access happens, then there will be a less loss. That's what it is saying. If you follow need to know principle or principle of least privilege, which will limit the amount of damage a faulty process can cause in the system. That means system will be harmed very less. That harmness will be reduced here. Now let us understand this domain of protection with the structure. See, here D1 stands for domain 1, D2 stands for domain 2 and D3 stands for domain 3, and each domain have objects. Here I have object 3, object 1 and object 2. Again in D2 I have object 2, then I have object 4, then I have object 1 and object 3. Now each object has a right access. That is what it does. Right access means what is its right? Can it read, write or do execution, do printing or something like that? So here in domain 1, object 3 has two rights, that it can read a file and it can write to the file. Object 1 has same access right. What is that? It can read a file and it can write a file. Object 2 in domain 1 will do execution. That is what it has. It is called as execute right. Okay, so I repeat, object 3 has read and write, object 1 has read and write again the file, and object 2 can execute it. Coming to domain 2, domain 2 has what? Object 2 is there. What it does is it has a right to only write to the file. I repeat, only write to the file. Then I have object T3, that is called as domain T3, which has object 1 and object 3. Object 1 has a right to execution and object 3 can read in domain D3. I hope it is clear. Now coming to this part, object 4, which is print. Okay, it's a printer, as I said, hardware object I said. Okay, so what we do, even object D2 and D3 both can print its or use this particular right for printing purpose. I repeat, object 4 where it can print something has between D and D2 and D3. Domain 2 and domain 3 both can use object 4 for printing purpose. I hope it is clear. So this diagram makes it clear how exactly a domain structure will be, and these domains and objects and the files will be combined in a table called as access matrix that we will see in coming classes. Hope it is clear. Now we have seen how domain structure looks like and what are the access rights given. So now let us see, a domain can be realized in variety of ways. Right? In 3 ways domains can be realized. Each user may be a domain, each process may be a domain, and each procedure may be a domain. I hope you know what is each user may be a domain means. User itself is one domain, a process itself is one domain, and procedure itself may be a one domain. Based on this we can define the domains. Hope things are clear here. Thank you very much for watching.